talk to us a little bit about that and what you kind of help to cultivate or have somebody look at as far as what you consider to be strengths within a sales process or attributes you think, good salespeople should possess or at least work on if they don't have them.
Yeah, so that goes into the authentic framework. So one of the things in the book and the way I structured it was the first section is about authenticity, the second section is on persuasion, and then there's a third section that's all about the intangibles, which is all those little things when you're a professional playing against another professional that you've got to do very well. So in the authentic piece, it's about those strengths. And it's really about who are you? What are you bringing to the table? What do you like? How do you operate? What is it that you do really well? And not about trying to be like anyone else. So it's not about trying to be like rep B who's in the cube or the desk next to you because they're really successful. So you got to pretend to do what they do and pretend to talk about what they talk about. Like you do you in the framework of a system that works, which is the key. As far as the traits go, there's 5 for me. I mean, it's openness, persistence, curiosity, creativity, and authenticity. Like those 5 things to me are what it takes to be successful in sales, at those trait level. And I fully believe and feel like all of those can be learned. For example, for me, I wasn't naturally curious about people. I didn't like people. I grew up shy, awkward, only
Mm-hmm.
child. I was bullied as a kid for many years. I didn't really like people. And so like I was curious about other things, right? Science,
Sure.
math, that kind of stuff, but not people. And then once I got into it, I started getting more and more curious about people. And when I tell that kind of story, people are like, dude, what are you talking about? You obviously care about people and you're curious. I've learned this and I've evolved. It wasn't my default nature. And so those traits there are things that people can learn and get better at over time to be successful.
I do think that, that old saying that you've got to be interested before you can be interesting, right?
100%.
And so that feeds right into curiosity. So you come from an interesting perspective of someone who wasn't kind of just fell into it, right? And almost you had to like learn to love it.
Uh-huh.
Was there anything that you did to help inspire that? Because I think that there's people out there that are probably going to be listening to this and like the idea of sales. They like, it's always the highest paid position of any organization, with maybe exception of some executives. So, what were maybe something you did or helped to spur that love and foster that love as you got deeper into it?
I think it's really that interested part, being curious and shifting my mindset to something that I was doing for people. So sales and everything I've ever sold and done was to help somebody in their situation. Yes, I'm going to get paid. Yes, I'm going to get rewarded. Yes, our company is going to grow, but I shifted to actually wanting to get them into a better place, whether they're buying from me or not. And then that made everything easier. That plus the fact that I've never received sales training anywhere I've ever gone or anywhere. I'm usually the one that has to make it. So I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm making the sales training. So lots of reading, lots of studying, lots of just being open and learning from anywhere that I could.
Yeah, that was your first one, right? Openness.
Yep. And the openness is 2 things, right? The curiosity is the learning, but the openness to like new ideas and then also feedback. This is
Mm,
one area that a lot of salespeople, and most people are this way, right? Everyone, we all have our ego. It's trying to protect us. It's keeping us safe. It still thinks it's, 5,000 years ago. And if we do anything wrong, we're going to get voted out of the tribe and we're going to, die in a cave by ourselves. And so our brain doesn't want to do that and wants to keep us safe and secure in our comfort zone. And the really good professional salespeople treat it like a profession, like sports, which what you see, let's say football, what you see on the field is 5-10% of their life in a given week. The rest of it is practice. And then it's watching game footage of themselves, of their opponent, studying, replaying things over and over again, getting critiqued. And that doesn't happen enough in sales, where people are saying, hey, I just had a call. It sucked. I blew it. Can we listen to it together? Can you tell me where I could have done better?
yeah, I yeah, no one's actually talked about that, but I think that that's one of the things that I preach is that in the first 90 days that the constructive feedback and criticism is so important to a brand new sales rep to a new organization. Because what happens is, like you said, most sales organizations don't have training, and if they do, it's pretty hit or miss and spotty, and it's usually from a trainer who wasn't good at what they did and they got shoved into a trainer role and they make less money than actual salespeople, which is always kind of mind-boggling to me. And then other than that, you get your semi-annually or once a year review, which is shit, and managers don't put a lot of effort, emphasis, or care into. So they're not getting constructive feedback. So you got to ask for it. And so do you recommend, asking managers to sit in, because I think it's important for the reps to understand you need to be aggressive with asking for help, record your calls, asking for help, constant feedback. Is there too much feedback you can get where it starts, do you think, to mess with someone's mind, or what do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it depends on the relationship with whoever's giving you the feedback and what you need help with. I mean, you shouldn't need constant coaching on every time, but if you're getting better, then yeah, it's as much as you want. And here's the thing. This is what I tell everybody. Everyone hates hearing their own voice. Like, I have my own podcast. I don't do my own editing. It drives me crazy. I'm recording the audio, the audible for my book. And my person's like, okay, here it is. Here's the first chapter. You listen to it after we edit. I'm like, I got to do that today. I don't want to do it because I don't want to hear my own voice. Like, it's terrible. Yeah. Nobody likes it. So get over it. It just is what it is. And no, I think that's so important to get that feedback, to ask for it. That's what I talk about in the book. And I push people, like, if you want to be successful, you have to look for help. I mean, I work with people in organizations where their organization doesn't give them help. They don't have a good manager. They don't have a good trainer that fits them, right? And what they need. And they hire someone like me out of their pocket to give them that extra feedback, that coaching, that leadership, if they can't. But always go to your manager. Always go to somebody in the business and say, hey, I want some feedback. What's going on? What am I missing? A, managers will appreciate that. B, if it's a good company, a healthy company with a good culture, they're in the business of making money. The last thing they want to do is have you fail and have to fire you, right, and then have to replace you, because it's so expensive from an opportunity cost and mentally and emotionally. Like, they don't want to do that. So they want you to win, despite what you think with the bad leads. They want you to win. And so, like, go to somebody and be like, I want to win. I'm struggling. I keep getting the same thing. Everyone keeps telling me, send me more information, and I don't know what I'm missing, right? And ask for help.